Manchego cheese is the topic of a huge trade dispute between Spain and Mexico. After 3 years of unprecedented drought, Cape Town now has less than 90 days' worth of water in its reservoirs. And the United States' top 3 automakers call on President Trump to persevere with NAFTA negotiations. Hello and welcome to today's edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News Business. I'm Elliot Bullman. Let's start with today's information. Spanish cheese producers are involved in a major row with Mexican cheesemakers over the Manchego brand. Spanish producers argue that the term manchego should only be applied to cheese made from sheep's milk in Castilla-La Mancha, Spain, unlike the Mexican-made manchego that is derived from cow's milk or a combination of both. Ismael Alvarez de Toledo, president of the Spanish Brotherhood of the Manchego Cheese, says that manchego is an insipid milk cheese that sometimes doesn't even look like a cheese, and told UK newspaper The Daily Telegraph that Mexico has to stop their fraudulent antics and take heed of their warnings. Spain's posture on the matter is now dragging down negotiations to update a trade deal between Mexico and the EU that was signed in 2000. The EU had hoped revisions would already be agreed before Christmas. But despite a 3-day visit to Brussels by the Mexican Economy Minister Ildefonso Guajardo, a deal could not be struck. EU Trade Commissioner Cecilia Maelstrom says that more work still needs to be done, but an EU-Mexico trade deal is now in sight. In other news, Cape Town is perilously close to becoming the first major city in the world to run out of water. The city's mayor, Patricia de Lille, has warned residents that unless they drastically cut down on daily use, the seaside metropolis housing 4 million inhabitants will run dry on April the 22nd. Day Zero, as it's called, is real and is calculated every week based on current reservoir capacity and daily consumption. On January the 8th, Mayor de Lille revised the date down from April the 29th based on a citywide uptick in daily usage. City authorities have decided that once the dams reach 13.5% capacity, municipal water supply will be turned off for all but essential services like hospitals. If that actually happens, residents will have to go to one of some 200 municipal water points throughout the city where they can collect a maximum of 25 litres a day. Armed guards will be standing by to keep the peace and prevent anyone from taking more than their share. At this time, the city has capped household water usage at 87 litres per person per day. City planners have long pointed out that Cape Town's water capacity hasn't kept up with population growth, which has nearly doubled over the past 20 years. Still, a 3-year drought on this scale is a once-in-a-millennium event, say climatologists, and even the best planned water system would have taken a hit under current conditions. Moving on. Fiat Chrysler, Ford and General Motors are calling on US President Donald Trump not to ditch the NAFTA agreement and have expressed hopes that the United States, Canada and Mexico can reach a modernized and improved trade agreement. The Republican leader has threatened to withdraw from NAFTA altogether, which is widely used by automakers that have production and supply chains distributed throughout the 3 countries. Fiat Chrysler Automobile's Sergio Marchionne, who announced last week his plans to move production of vans from Mexico to the state of Michigan by 2020, said he expects the Trump government to refine some of his business demands. Marchionne, at a press conference at the Detroit Auto Show, said the change in FCA truck production in part goes beyond responding to some of President Trump's concerns about shifting production capacity outside the United States. Meanwhile, Ford Motor CEO Jim Hackett told reporters also on Sunday that NAFTA needs to be modernized, adding that of Detroit's 3 largest automakers, Ford has the highest percentage of vehicles still made in the United States. As for General Motors Executive President Mary Barra, she expressed optimism on Saturday that NAFTA will survive with improvements, while other GM executives backed the company's plans to continue building trucks in Mexico. And finally, let's turn to the markets. The Mexican peso decreased 0.14 or 0.76% to 18.62 from 18.76 in the previous trading session. IPC Mexico increased 202 points or 0.41% to 49,693 from 40,809 in the previous trading session. That was all for today. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and log on to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.